Good day, everyone. My name is Itunu. I'm a staff member of University of Johannesburg. Today, I'll be taking you through the presentation titled Exploring the Potential of Design Thinking in the Age of Fourth Industrial Revolution in South Africa. Now, before I start, I have to give a quick background of myself. I dabbled into design thinking just about a year ago, just before the pandemic. A friend in the IT sector had asked me to do some research for him regarding design thinking and fourth industrial revolution. Thankfully, then a special edition of Harvard Business Review had just been published on the subject that I'm presenting today, which is design thinking in fourth industrial revolution, where they were starting to revisit the question of how design thinking can help the gradual or increasing transition into fourth industrial revolution technologies and realities that we find ourselves, right? So I've made lots of claim and a bit of literature in my actual work. Special thanks to the reviewers, the two reviewers. Now, what's design thinking? It's been simplified by some as human-centered, cognitive, iterative ideation process for identifying and addressing stakeholder needs and solving problems, design problems, social problems, or what is known as wicked problems of the society, via a more sort of bottom-up rather than top-bottom. Now, design thinking contrasts the more top-down model that is being used, that has been traditionally used in design, whereby designers stay in their cubicles and curate reality for others outside of their space, right? So now design thinking is sort of, starting from the people, from the need of the people. And bringing up all the other stakeholders in the process of design. So it opens up the space of design for dialogue among all stakeholders, users, end users of product, managers, the designers themselves, and so on. So initially, the private sector, IDEO, a famous design company in the US, began this movement. But nowadays, it has been endorsed and used by European Union and other supranational organizations like UNDP, World Bank, who are dealing with wicked problems, real life crisis, and even lots of national governments, including the governments in Australia and the UK. The key aspect of design thinking is designers' ability to think through what is known as abductive reasoning and divergent thinking. Right, so I've given a bit of ideas, original conception of design thinking. Obviously, it's been complicated and simplified and done in different contexts, but it starts with empathy, empathizing with issues, then defining problems, ideating, prototyping, testing. And within all of this phase, you could go back and forth and you are allowed to do actual ethnographic sort of research. So there is focus on doing ethnographic research and spending time with real people who have, real world needs, design needs, and so on. Right? So why design thinking? Studies have indeed shown, scholarly studies have shown that organizations that make design thinking a central strategic focus are more likely to develop a sustainable advantage for the future. Now, the future is technology, fourth industrial revolution that we are talking about today. And globally, DTE has become a standard part of curriculum for many business schools and primary means of innovation for so many companies that we know today. I mean, Netflix is a good example, Airbnb, whereby they use design thinking to sort of innovate and know the next, and they're able to, the next need of people. they're able to update their product and services and so on and so forth. So that the list goes on and on. Samsung, Microsoft, Apple. So although design thinking has existed, now I found literature talking about design thinking since 60s, 70s, 80s, obviously in the 2000s, it reemerged again. So why has it become very popular, even increasingly popular within the context of fourth industrial revolution? Within 4IR, the question that people ask is, can design thinking, this strategy that has been, this iterative model that has been touted, over the years, can it help enhance the impact that these technology innovations of fourth industrial revolutions have? We know that 4IR and all disruptive technology in all its elements have delivered so many positive, or have promised to deliver so many positive, but we know that they also come with their own complexities that I've highlighted in my paper, and ethical concerns that some presenters may have spoken about. And DT, a human-centered approach to innovation, can help sort of unearth and think solutions that are more sustainable. Design practices have a pivotal role to play. So we know that the fourth industrial revolution, transdisciplinarity has been encouraged. So many disciplines and sectors are looking for ways to incorporate these 4IR technologies, but design takes this, or to take the lead, according to scholars, not just in the way of rethinking the way things have been done traditionally, but to think it through from the angle of the human, who are often the end users of these things. So DT makes difference in terms of enhancing and augmenting the impact of technology, according to literature. Right. Why should designers take the lead? So while DT, design thinking training, is being offered across various disciplines and has been modified to meet varying disciplinary demands, mostly business, a number of authors have suggested that the core of design thinking and all of its complexities and nuances ought to be situated in the academic field of design. Now that's why I'm here. Why are universities, houses, design schools not taking advantage of the popularity of design in all fields, of designerly thinking in all fields? They argue that the design mastery is needed to excel in design thinking, and design schools should remain the main custodian of the core knowledge on design thinking, right? The whole idea of design thinking is that, the solutions that humans are struggling with can be solved through using designerly way of thinking, right? So now all of the fields of endeavors seem to be embracing it except design. And rather than embracing, in fact, so many designers have criticized it over the years. So disciplines and schools who claim to do design, according to the scholars, are merely practicing designerly thinking and the borrowing and adaptation of designers' toolkit and innate competencies, that the core of it should really be taught by designers. Right. So there has been criticism of DT over the years. And one of the main ones is that it has been simplified. A professor of urban planning, for instance, said the following, that design thinking doesn't really encourage innovation. It claims to create. Instead, it is a strategy to preserve and defend certain status quo, homogeneity, colonizing, or whatever you want. And the whole strategy at that. Design thinking privileges the designers. So it imagines the designers as still the top of the chain. So others have also come up with the fact that design thinking is poorly defined, and indeed you might want to think about it like that, because there are different ideas and different ways of doing design thinking. So in the course of preparing for this presentation, for instance, I had to go through so many videos that emphasize so many aspects of design thinking. So there's no uniformity in the curriculum and the teaching, in the understanding and the use of design thinking as a method of innovation and solving human problems. Now, and there are other criticisms that you can also simply read from the screen. However, in the fourth industrial revolution, there has been a great deal of emphasis on interdisciplinarity, right? That all disciplines should come together in order to solve human problems. And DT seems to have taken the lead. Like design thinking allows that space whereby everybody comes into the design problem, design a solution to a problem. However, for it to thrive in South Africa, I argue that the design curriculum needs to must be reworked and updated to emphasize DT as a skill that students need to learn, and in order to thrive and in order to contribute in the fourth industrial revolution. So while DT training is offered across various disciplines, I say that. So what is the state of design thinking in South Africa? We know that just before the pandemic, government had been investing a lot on fourth industrial revolution, right? So I'm speaking about the state of design thinking in South African current drive towards fourth industrial revolution. Before the pandemic, the government instituted 4IR commission led by himself and the vice chancellor of our university, Professor Chidima Wala, to begin to look at how government can position itself as a forefront economy in this geared towards the fourth industrial revolution. And one thing that I observed, interestingly, the government has been working with the MICT, which is the CETA in charge of digital technology, media information, communication technology sector, and education training authority. So now I had gone through their website and I found out that they have listed some of the core competencies, some of the core areas they want to focus on. They want to train a number of South Africans. They want to even issue certificates and degrees in future. So one of them happened to be design thinking. Now, this goes back to what I said in the previous slide, that if design thinking is going to lead the way in the fourth industrial revolution on how to manage all of these elements of fourth industrial revolution, imagine what designers can do, how designers can lead this human-centered approach. Right. Also, I noticed that there has been a lot of degree awarding and training centers across the country that has emerged in the last few years. The top ones seem to be the D School in University of Cape Town. It's called the Plata Institute of Design Thinking. Some of folks from there might be in this conference, or you might have colleagues from there, but they just focus primarily on design thinking and bringing in folks from different disciplines within the university and training them to use design to sort of to rethink their own way of solving problems within their own field, right? And I also go to so many companies and training centers and business schools who are offering design thinking as a course. In fact, I found out that the company known as Design Centers, in fact, gives certificate NQ5 on design thinking. So it's really become a big deal in the drive toward the fourth industrial revolution. So very quickly, what's my conclusion? One, that design thinking, we all should know that it embodies the skill set and the ideal in counteracting issues associated with 4IR, including machine biases, flow data sampling, with courses and over, sort of underrepresentation of certain folks, overrepresentation of certain narratives, and so on and so forth. So design thinking helps to sort of negotiate and rethink using the human sort of, not just the datafication, but using a human approach, actually meeting the real humans and knowing what's best for them, the end users. So the current paper then argues that for a need to reinsert humans. Yeah, so there's a need to indeed reset humans when all of these machines come in order to assist us to do our basic meet our basic need, there still would be a need to reinstate human at the center of it all. A number of people say that soft skills are needed. So imagine having real humans engaging other humans in order to solve situations. That's really what design thinking may morph into. The presentation also advocates for discipline-based mastery of design discipline, of design thinking, that the design schools should begin, especially those located within the university, should begin to rethink how to update curriculum in such a way that it meets the need in the 4IR. And finally, despite this criticism by mostly academic-based scholars, design scholars, DT continues to evolve into an essential 4IR skills. Hence, there is a need for educators to reflect on how best to integrate design thinking into the design curriculum, if it's not already there. As earlier alluded, 4IR is currently confronted with new problems, new issues related to ethics, accountability, responsiveness, and other undiscovered issues that will require heuristic techniques to solve. South Africa's concerted effort towards positioning the economy for 4IR presents opportunity for design educators to design locally relevant design thinking methods and ways of practice and framework to address the many complex problems that accompany the technology and add value to people's life. Thank you very much. Bye for now.